Hey, ladies. Good afternoon to everybody. I hope you all are doing well today. I am most likely not going to be my usual jovial self because this is a very serious topic. Um, we are here to talk about, oh gosh. First of all, I want to handle this conversation with care. Um, I did not watch what happened to Tyree Nichols just because that kind of stuff feeds into my spirit negatively. But I do want to say that I think what happened to him, because I did speak to somebody that I trust who did watch, and she's pro blackety blackety black. And when she and I first found out the news about Tyree Nichols, we were both kind of like, let's step back and not jump into this immediately and see what comes out. And when we talked again, she's like, Cherie, it was horrific. And so many people were saying it was horrific. So I am definitely against police brutality. I do think that there is, prejudice on the police force. There is racism on the police force, but there are also good police officers. And the fact that, for example, the African American AP Studies class that Ron DeSantis in Florida was presented with, as well as several other states, was talking about abolishing prisons. I have a serious problem with that. We talk about that on this channel. We talk about crime on this channel because these things do positively or negatively affect our ability to build wealth. So, hey, Mocha Mommy, good to see you. Hey, D'Ambrosia, I hope I'm saying your name right. Hey, Coco Tigress, you're saying you didn't watch. I couldn't either. Hey, Computer and Coin, good afternoon. Daniela, I've been avoiding the video. I will not watch it. I'm not watching it at all. Y'all don't forget to hit the like button as you all are coming in. I have some comments to say about this. I actually, on Monday, as I was watching all of the coverage of what happened last weekend, the image of today's show just popped into my head, and to the point where I wish that I had time during the weekdays to actually do these kinds of live streams. I just don't. Y'all know I started my new job, got a lot of stuff going on there, so I have to wait until the weekends in order to talk about this. But I am highly aggravated with Black America. Not because Black Lives Matter shouldn't have protest, not because um, there should not be attention brought to the things that Black Lives Matter talks about. I'm annoyed because we have an affordable housing issue. We have a jobs issue. We have so many people that are not skilled properly for the jobs that are coming. We have massive layoffs that are going to be coming up. We have massive reskilling that needs to be done. Our schools are in shambles. Our education system is in shambles. And the media, as well as the organizations that get pushed and the organizations that get funded, and us as people on the ground, we see the biggest crowds for the Black Lives Matter police brutality movement. When are we going to see those big crowds for our schools don't have heat in them and our kids can't learn and our kids are so far behind grade level in reading, in math, in science, and this world is becoming global and they don't have a shot in hell of making it? When are we going to see hundreds of thousands of people marching for that in New York, in Philly, in New Orleans, in Houston? We have a major crisis happen. We have such a division of the haves and have-nots. We talked about affordable housing on this channel. I'm not going to go into affordable housing today. I'm actually going to talk a lot about education today, and I'm going to drop the link for anybody who wants to come up. We have a major problem with education and illiteracy in this country. And if we think it's bad now with the lack of economics, I have unpopular opinions today. And the reason I created this channel is because the other channel I had was with somebody else and she wouldn't let me speak freely. So I'm here to speak freely to you. They want to have us smoking a whole bunch of cannabis, numbed out, give us a little bit of UBI, and make the majority of us uncompetitive. And I'd like to see as many people marching for us to get back to being competitive on a global scale as I do us marching Black Lives Matter. I have to say, I burned the cape. I burned the cape about 2-3 years ago. The last march that I went to was the Gina 6 in Louisiana, even though I still believe what happened with them. It was a high school fight. A young man shouldn't have been charged with attempted murder, but that was how many years ago? Probably about 10 years ago. That was the last march I've been to. Okay. Full disclosure. But if we're going to be marching for stuff, we really need to rethink what we're marching for and what we as Black people and Black women want to be the face of. I have a lot to say about education today. We've talked about affordable housing on this channel. I want to talk today about education of our young people, education of our 30, 40, 50-year-olds that need to be reskilled. We have a lot of older people, senior citizens that need to continue to work, yet the jobs that they're qualified for are getting less and less. I think that's the conversation we need to have today. And ultimately, I'm going to say on a macro level, I don't know what to do. I don't have the answers, but on a micro level, you as a woman, whether it's just you or you have children, get your money up and get your kids educated, 21st century educated to be able to compete on a global scale. Otherwise, you're going to be living in poverty forever. Then Rose just saying, yes, you said it right. Your content has helped me become smart with finances. Thank you so much. I'm not watching the video either. Yeah, I can't do it. We have bigger issues and more coming. We need to talk about that. Yes, I'm going to drop the link, y'all. You have to make a trendy or a viral moment. This is great point. Why do we have to make it trendy for us to get educated to compete globally against the Chinese, the Indians, and we're talking about the Chinese in China as well as the Chinese in the United States, the Indians, the Africans that are coming over? Why does it have to be trendy? And I'm not yelling at you, Coco Tigress. I'm sorry. I'm just very passionate about this. Maybe we in Black America need to stop jumping on the trendy trains. It was trendy 2 weeks ago for people to about Governor DeSantis and the AP studies. Now, I said before I jump on this, let me take a step back and let me actually do my research. I think that Benjamin Crump was on some bull. And I do also think that Ron DeSantis and the Florida School Board Education Group was on some bull as well. But ultimately, what happened with that is there were things within that African American Studies AP course that had nothing to do with Black history and Black culture. Ron DeSantis was right about that. He was right about that. Now, he did something that I thought, well, I can't be 100% behind Ron DeSantis because, he was wrong. And well, it wasn't him. It was the whomever put out the press release saying that the course had no low educational value. He's going to suffer from that if he's trying to run for president. But we need to get out of what's trendy, and we need to start as this is the home for upwardly mobile Black women. As upwardly mobile Black women, we're going to really need to get out of viral moments. I've burned the cape. I burned the cape. Hey, God bless. Good to see you. Danielle is saying exactly be organized to enact serious change in policies, not just after violence occurs. I think as Black women, we can organize and uplift ourselves. Yeah, and we have to leave some people behind. I burned the cape once they talked bad about Breonna Taylor and uplifted George Floyd. Yeah, y'all know how I feel about Candace Owens. I'm not a fan of Candace Owens, but when Candace talked about George Floyd and what he did to that pregnant woman, I was kind of like, I'm not. I can't do it. I have several family members who teach and work Title I schools. The disparities are astounding. Yes. You heard that balloon from them coming over. Yeah, I did. I did. So I'm going to actually put the StreamYard link in the chat if anybody wants to come up. And I'm going to talk about our education system, which is not good right now. And the fact that people who have children, like, there are a lot of white people that I'm starting to follow and other people, mostly white people, who are like, I'm homeschooling my kids, we're moving out of the city, or they already live in rural America. And our schools are not making our young people competitive. Our schools they're not reading at grade level. They're not doing math and science at grade level. They're not learning financial literacy. They're not leaving high school with a trade like plumbing or something like that where they can go and be an apprentice. Yeah, this is an unpopular opinion, but let's be real. There were a lot of people out there protesting last week. There were a lot of people protesting with the George Floyd thing. Black Lives Matter got $90 million, and we know a little bit about what happened to it. But we're not doing well. We're not doing well. And we need to really kind of get our hands around and focus a little bit more on education. So let's take a look at some of the things that are happening in education. I want to start off with our kids, and overall, I'm going to work to the adults. Again, the StreamYard link is in there. Don't forget to like the video as you all are coming in. And let's talk a little bit about the literacy problem that we have going on in America. Why are we talking about literacy? Because if a person cannot read and cannot write, it seriously limits their ability for economic advancement. And as people who care about making money, the basis is being able to read and being able to read at grade level, and not only read, but comprehend as well. We see continuously the Black manosphere messing up statistics, not reading the full article, reading the headline, and that's it. We talk about that. We need to talk about it for all of our young people, Black women, etc. America is no longer competitive like it used to be. So let's hear a little bit about what's happening with our literacy. And let me make sure it's just on normal. Yeah. Okay.
With attention focused this last year on opening schools during the pandemic, another crisis has been silently brewing, one that literacy experts say has been building for years.
We have a literacy crisis. The numbers are really appalling. The literacy crisis affects 25 million children in the United States.
When it comes to reading, American kids not making the grade. Experts say the cause of the problem is twofold: the way the reading is taught and, not surprisingly, poverty.
Teacher. So one of the things they said is they have 25 million children out of, let's say there's 150 million children under the age of 18 in the United States. 25 million. I think that number is low. I think that a lot of educators are changing grades, they're helping kids out, things like that. And that 25 million, it wouldn't surprise me if it's double. There was an article as I was doing my research for today where In Baltimore, they changed the grades of 12,000 students in Baltimore. A lot of these schools are funded based on the passing of these kids. And it's important that as we get older, we don't want to have a whole bunch of young people who cannot read, cannot write, cannot comprehend, cannot think. This is bad. This is a crisis. This to me is a bigger crisis than even police brutality. I have to admit, unpopular opinion. Because if we have lives, if we're living and we're not able to move up the economic ladder because we have a contingency of people who are not literate, even if we become business owners, as some of you know, I'm going to actually start Small Business Saturday up again starting next week. If you can't hire people, I was on Erica's channel. Erica's been talking about, just hire 2 people and put them in the front office. Yeah, but if they're illiterate, if they're not able to do the job, I was just saying that, but it seems America want cattle to herd rather than citizens that can compete with other countries. I don't know what America is doing. I don't know what they're doing, except to think that they want a certain amount of people in the prison industrial complex, mostly our sons, let's be real. One day I'm going to do some math with regard to the value of your son in prison, because they get a certain amount of money per day per prisoner. And if your son does something that keeps him in there for 10 years, what's the value of that? Yeah. And then they need low income workers as well. And, I don't know what America's doing. Yeah, I'm looking up grammar courses as we speak because I want to learn to talk and be more literate, never too late to elevate. I love it, D'Ambrosia. That is phenomenal. Yes. Look up grammar courses, speaking, joining Toastmasters is a great way for you to do that. Learning how to actually relay information and communicate both verbally and in writing. Talk about ChatGPT. I've been listening to a lot of stuff with regards to ChatGPT is going to change everything and it's going to do this and it's going to do that, except if you know how to think and you know how to prompt the system appropriately, then you're going to be able to overcome the entire AI thing. God bless is saying yes to D'Ambrosia as well. I love it. Let's continue listening to this about literacy issues.
That are going through higher education programs to become certified teachers are not necessarily being trained in the science of reading or what we know about evidence-based practices and the practices they should be implementing.
Yeah. So these teachers are not even equipped in the science of reading. They expect your child to come to kindergarten, pre-K, knowing how to read. So we have a whole bunch of parents that either don't know how to read or are not equipped to help their kids learn how to read. And then this woman here, in the content I pulled today, I tried to make sure, this is from a year ago. So I tried to make sure that everything I pulled was from no more than a year ago. She's saying less than a year ago that these teachers don't know how to teach your kids how to read. They don't know the science of reading. Let's keep looking. Let's keep listening to this here.
The actual statistics for students of color or students living in poverty or English learners or students with disabilities is actually staggering. And in many areas, only 10% of students in these subgroups are reaching proficiency levels.
And
did you hear that? Students of color, 10% of students can read proficiently if you are a student of color. He said student of color, comma, poverty, comma, this is bad. Not being able to read proficiently. Let's keep going.
When children struggle with reading, there can be serious consequences down the line. Studies show that children with poor reading proficiency are more likely to drop out of high school, experience emotional and social problems, or engage in juvenile crime.
Experience emotional and social problems. So sometimes we think that these young people are shooting up their schools just because they are antisocial. Some of these kids have literacy problems. Some of these kids actually have literacy problems, which means that we should have more people marching on the streets. If they're saying here that only 10% of children of color, so let's put in Black kids, can read proficiently, we should have, out of 40 million Black people, there should be 35 million of us on the street for this problem. For this problem. Let's keep going.
In many states, they project out building prisons based on fourth grade proficiency rates because there's such a negative relationship between poor reading status at that grade level and later adult outcome.
We've heard about this. We have heard that in fourth grade, they're looking at who can read, who can't. I do believe they're doing it based on race as well. And they're trying to figure out, how many prisons they're going to build. This is why the guy from The Big Short, Michael Burry, is putting in a whole lot of money into what? Private prisons. If you want to make some serious money over the next 2-3 decades, you'll get into private prisons. But our people should be having signs up saying, you know what we're going to do? We're going to focus on fixing these schools, fixing our literacy problem, fixing our ability to help young mothers or mothers of 2, 3, 4-year-olds, helping them help their kids learn how to read. So that way, when the kid gets in the kindergarten, the kid already knows how to read basic. Look at certain numbers. I was in a store one day, maybe about 6 months ago. White guy. I live in rural America, right? White guy, little kid, probably about 4 years old. The father is pointing at different things. What's that letter? What's that letter? Little kid's like A, S, R. Certain parents need these skills to know what to even teach their children to make sure that we don't have this literacy problem anymore. Let's keep going.
Link is a New York-based charity that helps parents instill a love of reading in young children in underserved communities. They say improving literacy in America's kids should be a top priority for everyone: schools, families, and government.
And so a lot of our work is about distributing books and making sure that families, as entire family units, fall in love with books and find books irresistible.
Experts say this crisis can be solved, but the government needs to step in and invest in new teaching practices.
Problem can be solved, but the government needs to step in and invest in new teaching practices. Let me ask you a question. We have seen presidential debates where they have talked about foreign policy. They have talked about the economy. How many of them actually do a deep dive mentioning education? How many of them, especially when they come to the Black church and, I don't know, they go see Roland Martin or whatever it is they're doing, actually talk about this and actually see policies being presented? Education starts at home. I think schools should be used as a supplement only. I can agree with that. But if you have a person today who is, let's say, 28, who is impoverished and came from generational poverty, trying to teach the next generation how to read and do things. Sometimes those parents need additional skills. So I agree with you, God bless, that education starts at home, but I would love to see us also have some additional skills for women who come from generational poverty or just, don't have what we have. Because you and I, excuse me, I'll speak for myself. I come from a family of educators and nurses and accountants and things like that. But I would also like to see the way that we break generational poverty is through getting our literacy rates up. And the way that we get our literacy rates up is giving parents of those who are from generational poverty, like, here are some other life skills. Like, we teach moms Lamaze, and we teach moms about, breastfeeding and things like that. This should be a part of parenting skills, especially in the Black community. Then Roger saying agreed. Coco is saying, I agree, Goddess, but the problem is that a lot of parents can't or don't have the time. Very good point as well. This is where I would agree with a program for women to be able to stay home for the first 2 to 3 years of their kid's life if they're teaching their children reading, the fundamentals, good morals, things like that. I do think that we should have a program around that. I, as a taxpayer, would not freak out over something like that. So let's continue with this video.
And early childhood development for the under fives.
Okay, everybody, like the video as you all are coming in. Give me a like the video. So, yeah, we saw, for everybody who's coming in, we saw huge amounts of protest over what happened with Tyre Nichols, which I agree that Tyre Nichols, what happened to him was atrocious. I do think it's interesting that those 5 Black officers were arrested mighty, mighty quick, whereas the gentleman that killed Ahmaud Arbery took forever. And Derek Chauvin, who had his knee on the neck of George Floyd, took forever. I saw it. With Tyre Nichols, the 6th officer, who is white, was just fired. Yeah, I saw it. But if we're looking at a problem that is affecting multiple generations and tens of millions of young people who are coming up, we should have tens of millions of people in the streets for this. I'll be honest. Y'all, again, the StreamYard link is in there if you want to come up. So, great topic. Please subscribe. Yes, please subscribe. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of articles. Y'all know I'm famous for my articles. Just give you a couple of things to think about here. So this is an article about child illiteracy in America. And, we talked about the fact that literacy goes far beyond the ability to read and write. Illiteracy can cause immeasurable damage to an individual's emotional and intellectual development, often limiting a person's ability to achieve a fulfilling and successful adult life, right? Here is some of the literacy things. Children of adults with low literacy skills are 72% more likely to be at low reading level in school. So that means if mom and dad are either illiterate or have low literacy skills, then the kids do. This is where I'm okay with the program that says, hey, you know what? while the kids are learning how to read, we're going to teach the adults how to read too. Even if we have some sort of program where we help them, where they don't have to go and work 3 and 4 jobs, they're able to have this be something where, as long as they're keeping up with their lessons, that we help subsidize them and the parents learning how to read. Why? Because it would make stronger kids in our society. Next thing, 2 out of every 10 children enter kindergarten with skills 2 to 3 years lower than their grade level. And I'm sure if we looked in Black America, that would be probably 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Right? And another 2 start school with a 1-year disadvantage, according to the Children's Reading Foundation. Students who are behind typically make only 1 year's worth of progress at each grade level, keeping them behind their classmates throughout school. More than 1 in 3 children who started school in the pandemic need intensive reading help, is something else that was said here. Now, here's my problem with this topic here. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you what I saw, because people are pretending like this illiteracy thing is new. They are pretending like the pandemic caused this. The pandemic did not cause this issue. Let's watch this here, because she's going to blame the pandemic. I can show you videos and articles from 10 years ago on YouTube saying the exact same thing. In fact, we're going to go through one of those videos as well. But listen to this, because everybody wants to blame the pandemic. The pandemic exacerbated some of the issues, but it was not the cause of it.
Millions of American students are falling behind in reading and mathematics. Recent studies reveal about a third of children are missing fundamental Millions of American students are falling behind in reading and mathematics. Recent studies reveal about a third of children are missing fundamental benchmarks. One report shows students between grades K through 12 are 5 months behind in math and 4 months behind in reading. Many educational leaders are blaming COVID-19, saying the virus has forced children to spend months out of the classroom where they were supposed to learn those basic skills. And as the pandemic enters its 3rd year, officials say schools are under pressure to boost literacy as quickly as possible to help students learn the curriculum they need.
They were behind before the pandemic. Tobeans is saying, what I'm starting to see is many immigrants sending children to college first generation. Absolutely. Look, the immigrants are here to compete. The immigrants are here to compete. They are not playing with us. They will leave Black America behind in a heartbeat. They will leave Black women behind in a heartbeat. They will leave Black men behind in a heartbeat. This is why, again, when I look at the numbers of people, I actually read an article. I'm going to show this to you here. There were over 10,600 BLM rallies when George Floyd died. Let me find that article for you. Oh, did I keep it? I didn't keep it. Sorry. Yeah. 10,000. It was 10,600 protests for BLM. How many protests have we seen for this? How many protests have we seen for affordable housing? Like, thousands of people there. We're going up against the system. We want reforms. We want changes. We're not leaving without these changes being done. I haven't seen any. I did not hear about the Morgan State Initiative. If you can click the link, let us know what that is. I'd like to know about that. So I just have more stuff on here that more students are, not reading at grade level. They have finally, so a couple of years ago, Detroit, now this is a win. Y'all know I try to be fair. A couple of years ago, Michigan Supreme Court said that there was no fundamental right to learn how to read or write. This was in 2018. Turns out in 2020, that was overturned, and court ruled that Detroit students now have a constitutional right to an education. So shout out to anybody who had participated in that, in getting that overturned. But there's just so much more to go. And we're not seeing the media attention with this. So the final thing I want to talk about is, you think that this education thing is just for kids. This illiteracy issue is just about kids. It's about adults as well. AI and robotics are about to take a lot of jobs, and there is a huge need for reskilling. And a lot of the programs that are out there are hush hush, or you have to dig for them. There was a campaign for, drinking milk. There was a campaign for saying no to drugs, but there is no campaign. There is no multimedia campaign for reskilling workers to be able to handle the economy that's coming up. So if we had 10,600 rallies and protests for Black Lives Matter, from George Floyd being killed to I think it was like an 18-month period or something, 10,600. Where are the rallies for the reskilling of workers? Morgan State offering new scholarships to undocumented immigrants. I'm not surprised. A lot of HBCUs are starting to do that. So I don't know about the scholarships piece of it. I do know that HBCUs are now becoming attractive to immigrants because the HBCUs want kids who can pay full price. And a lot of immigrants, a lot of foreign students are able to pay full price. So I've even heard some HBCUs are no longer majority Black, especially majority Black ADOS. So that doesn't surprise me at all. There's also, within California, they're allowing undocumented immigrants to be police officers. Did you all see that? Now, I think it's because they need police officers in California, that they're like, well, where can we go? And these undocumented illegal immigrants, they will do anything. Erica Williams talked about the nursing scandal, 7,000 illegal, certifications for nursing. These immigrants are not here to play with us. And we are falling behind. And instead of us going out to protest for that, to protest for us to be able to get on a level playing field, I'm not saying we shouldn't have protests for police brutality. I'm not going out to them personally, but we should at least have more protests with more people about reskilling workers, about affordable housing, and about educating our kids. And I'm disappointed. So if nobody wants to come up, I'm about to hang it up here. I think I've ranted enough. So Donna's saying, I'm a Morgan State alum, 1993. Your school, unfortunately, isn't doing right. Norfolk State is getting on that path. Yeah, a lot of the HBCUs are. California, Utah, Nevada to hire non-citizens. And when these non-citizens, so I do have a friend that used to work at the State Department, and he told me that when foreigners are brought to the United States. Now, he worked in the early 2000s there. They do show a video of them telling foreigners to stay away from Black people. He said, Cherie, I've seen the videos, and he was an AV guy. So that does exist. So these non-citizens are told that Black people are dangerous. Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw that video, to be honest, it didn't bother my spirit at all. Okay, I don't know what video, but graduated from NSU and it's becoming diverse. Yeah. When I attended Morgan State from 88 to 93, we had immigrants who attended both undergraduate and graduate, many paid and many received scholarships and grants. Yeah. LA County to hire DA, citizenship not required. District attorneys. Imagine district attorneys not being citizens. Y'all, it's getting real out here. It's getting real out here, which ticks me off because we are not competitive and we have too many damn people on Clubhouse talking about Black men and Black women and, you know, Jason Whitlock and what he said and Kevin Samuels and all of that. And we're getting our butts kicked. Getting our butts kicked. And if you're ADOS, I'm ADOS. That hurts me. But you know what? I burned the cape. I've warned people through various mechanisms, and we're going to be over here. We're going to be the top 20%. We're going to be upwardly mobile. Ladies, I need you to get your money up. If you're going to be in a relationship, I need you to be with the man who is also upwardly mobile, not the $200,000 asshole. That's why I do the business of marriage as well. But I want you to be set. I want your kids to be set, because if they're not, your lineage is going to suffer. We talk politics on this channel because politics and wealth go together. Why do you think so many wealthy people give so much money to political campaigns? It's because they know that the laws that are being created, they want to have effects on them so they can do what? They can have more money and more influence. So I have a book that I haven't started reading yet, but it's a woman who is an immigrant who came over poor and worked her way up. I do want to have a show one day on how we can think like immigrants, because one thing they know how to do is they know how to hustle. They know how to have multiple streams of income. They know how to have a family that works together. Some of us don't naturally have families that work together, so we may need to marry into a family that works together, or we may need to form people around us who work together, but it's going to be hard for us to get up the economic ladder and to be upwardly mobile without people around us. Can't do it alone, right? So let me see here. Hampton U is doing the same. They were giving free programs and scholarships to those fleeing Ukraine. I did hear about that. 33,000 in scholarships per student. Yeah. These people aren't coming to play. They're going to take everything they can. Donna, I wish you would say it. I wish you would. We already have undocumented immigrants who are practicing attorneys here in California. Look, it's not a joke. You better compete. That's going to be one of our Sunday shows one day. You better compete. Always relationship talk 24/7 with hundreds of people, or 1,300 people, 1,500 people per room. And yet the Blacks in tech, or the Blacks talking about how to make money with ChatGPT, you could throw a stone through the room and hit everybody. One evening, about 8-9 o'clock in the evening, I decided to go on Clubhouse. I rarely do, but I decided to go on Clubhouse just to stroll. Worst mistake I ever made was telling Clubhouse I was Black. But I'm strolling through, and I get to a room talking about, ChatGPT, and there's Black people talking about ChatGPT. So I pop in. Great conversation. I literally could have clicked on everybody's name and followed everybody because there were only 14 people in the room. Meanwhile, I'm scrolling through the relationship channels. 300 people, literally. And we're wondering why we're getting our butts kicked. We're wondering why, and this is, y'all don't know I don't blackmail bash, but the black men are costing $50 billion in the economy. It's because they are not competitive. And they don't have the protests out there, 10,600 protests saying we want to be competitive in this global economy. They're fighting police brutality, which is fine for them to fight police brutality. But once you win that, then what? You still don't have an economic base. You're ADOS too, yeah. Hypergamous, you guys. And Nepo babies, yes, you all know we talk about that here on this channel. We want Nepo babies. I did we call it 5-minute video a couple of weeks ago about that because I heard people, well, you Nepo babies, it's not fair that just because they came from the right mother and father that they're getting certain privileges. Well, you know what? That's because you don't have Nepo babies. You should work on having Nepo babies. Yeah, get your money out. People vote with their money. Yes. And some of these campaigns, ladies, you can get involved with $100 contribution going, supporting candidates in your, we call it like your aldermen, your city council people, $100, $200, go to the chicken dinner, pass around a few flyers, say, this is what I'm looking for. A lot of those council people have discretionary funds for grants and things like that. So for you to start your business, for you to get some money infused in your business, for you to create some affordable housing for Black women or for anybody. This is where we start. Over the next several months, I'm going to start talking about certain things so that you're able to level up. And we need to actually get into these rooms. Yep. But people do vote with their money. We're playing checkers while everybody else is playing chess. Absolutely. Will they police us like they do in some of their countries, paying bribes, ransoms, etc.? Let me tell you something, Tobeans. Great question here. I think white American cops already take bribes. They do. There's nothing new about that. I knew a gentleman once who owned a storefront. He was a Hispanic guy, white Hispanic, owned a storefront. And the cops came in, and he's very pro-blue, conservative pro-blue guy. And he said to me, the cops came in and they said, hey, you know what? We've got our cops for this county, a fund, and it helps the orphans and the widows. And would you donate? And he donated the first year. And because he donated, the cops, considered him friendly, and they came by and gave him extra protection and things like that. The next year, he did not have the funds. So he said, I'm sorry, I can't donate this year. And you know what? The relationship soured. So yeah, the bribes happen already. The ransoms, I don't know about ransoms, but I will say the bribes. The bribes happen already. Great question, though. One thing I noticed with immigrant groups is here in California, is that they hire their own when they get into positions. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you may need to marry an immigrant who has that kind of family structure. And, they're like, yeah, Donna is a Black woman, but she's part of us because she's married to Jose, or she's married to, whomever, Gustav. So we're going to pull Donna in here. She is family, and her children are family. There's one thing I can say about the Jewish people. That's how they work. But all of the people in their family have high work ethic. They know when you walk through the door that you're not going to embarrass them, that you're going to do your work, that you're going to work hard, you're going to do what you need to do. We got to have that as well. Like, I have to have faith in you that you're going to do your part once you get through the door. And it's a big issue. Yes, sir. Money, we vote and think that's it. No lobbies, think tanks, etc. I agree. I watch some of the videos, but I binge off financial business content and doing quite well. Good for you. They have been busted for taking bribes, stealing, and helping traffic. Yeah. And some of them do bad trafficking as well. You're absolutely right about that. Pepe, look, if I get married again, I am definitely going to marry up. Definitely going to marry up. I like foreign guys, just have to meet one with papers. Look, I get that because you don't want to be used in a negative way. I absolutely get that. Oh, I got somebody who joined me.
Hel- Hello, Cherie. How you doing?
Did I cut up too much today? I always try to say unpopular opinion just in case.
No, no. You know what? You stepping on some toes, but
I have to. I was thoroughly upset beginning of
but
this week.
Cherie, let me ask you this:
Mhm.
Can we chew gum and walk at the same time?
Tell
And
me
that,
more.
so, in other words, the issues that is involving Black folks
Hmm.
is not just one-sided problem; it's multiple problems.
Hmm.
So you can be educated and get the highest education you want and still be not protected by laws in the United States.
Yes.
Okay. So, what I think the issue is that for a lot of Black folks, we like to focus on topics. I'm not talking about the police brutality. I'm going to focus on the relationship topic that we
Hmm.
spend 8 hours a day talking about
Hmm.
because that's easy to do. Okay. We would have, and I totally agree with you, we have a conversation about Black man would talk about this mythical person that makes six figures and these so-called gold diggers. And you're like, okay, but we want to talk about redlining in our community, gentrification that's going on in our community, the education issue that's going on, even sometimes the police fatality. Police fatality becomes an issue when someone gets killed. Listen, Black folks have been getting beat up by the police for years.
I
Okay.
agree. I agree.
And so I just think that we take easy subjects to focus on because it's easy, like you said. You can go to these clubhouses and people would debate about Kevin Samuels for 14 hours.
They
14
will.
hours. And then when you talk about what about bias in the medical field? Everyone's silent. Like, what you talk about? I don't know. That's not an exciting topic.
Yeah. Or they know about it, but they're like, well, what can we do about it? Well, we had 10,600 rallies for George Floyd.
Yeah.
I mean, and now, so going back to your first question, you asked about walking and chewing gum at the same time. This is just my thought. I haven't flushed it out, but oh, your face is showing. When we look at major changes that have happened in this country for Black people, they usually happen one at a time. So the first major change was us getting out of slavery, right? It was like, the one big thing. Hey, we got to get out of slavery. We're supposed to get our 40 acres and a mule as well. That didn't happen, right? Then the next big thing is, hey, we got to get out of Jim Crow. Then the civil rights happened. Then it was, hey, we need more economic opportunity. And affirmative action happened, even though it didn't happen for us like it was supposed to. If I'm looking at the past, I'm asking, is it possible for us to move the political needle on more than one thing? Or is it better for us to galvanize behind one thing? Now, there are two competing things that I'm seeing most Black people galvanize behind. One is police brutality, and the other is reparations. Um, but just answering your question about the walking and chewing gum at the same time, that would be my only response. is that. And I'm not saying you're wrong or I'm right or anything like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of, talking with you.
No, and I completely understand. I just think that we have to approach the issues that's affecting our community is systematic.
Mm-hmm.
So when you approach problems as systematic, the solution has to be systematic. And we have to be to the point that we hit everybody, every direction. Education, how we treat in the medical field, banking, financial institution, all territories that needs to be hit on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason why a lot of times, and I totally agree with you, it's only going to be a certain amount of, I'm going to say particular Black folks
Mm-hmm.
who's going to be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because the rest is going to be on Clubhouse talking about this mythical six-figure Black community in the Black community.
Or
Everybody
Black women
wants to-
twerking in the church. Yeah.
Yeah, twerking in the church.
Even
And
though I've never seen a Black woman twerk in the church.
I
but
never,
okay.
I never seen it, and it's always this dramatic stuff to make us get excited and get emotional about it. And we yelling at each other with on these panels with 4 people that's just getting upset. So it's a domino effect. And what I'm saying is that we need policies. Yes, I agree. When I made that comment that I do believe, and I'm old school, I don't believe that the school system necessarily is going to educate your children.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there are supplements. I just believe that it's up to the parent to educate your children. I came from a rural part of the South. And my father, when he was describing, he didn't even have the words to describe generational wealth. Mm-hmm. He would say, you need to pass on what you have to your children. He didn't even know that. He didn't even use the term generational wealth, but he knew the content of it. Mm-hmm. And he put that in our heads. I understand when people say, well, you may have women or men who work all these long hours and they can't do it. Listen, sometimes we got to go without sleeping.
Or I would rather fight for a program that if you are the working poor and you have a job, but you also have these 2 kids under the age of 5, I'd rather you be in school with those 2 kids and all of you learning how to read and you get an extra, $200 to $300 a month for that so that you can spend that time helping your kids and also helping yourself.
I totally agree with that. But in the meantime, when policies and we fight for policies, listen, go to the library. Mm-hmm. The library have free resources. So what we can do this, when people say, well, we just can't wait on the government, it's not about waiting on the government. The same reason why we go and do policies and donate, and even if you want to march, some Black folks still in the marching. I ain't knocking those Black folks. I believe more was proactive is that we push our senators and our representatives and our prosecutors to abide to the same policy they give others. That's what I believe. But in the meantime, when it comes to education, Black mothers and Black fathers, we can't wait till a bill come on the floor and say, hey, that's when I'm going to gear up and educate my kids. In the meantime, you have to step in to do it.
Yeah.
It's going to make you uncomfortable. It's we spend a lot of time on this YouTube, on this man's YouTube. In the meantime, why we can't use this YouTube to learn how to educate our children? I'm sorry, we can do both.
I agree with you there. There's YouTube, there is Khan Academy, even ChatGPT these days. Teachers are worried about kids using ChatGPT in order to get the answers to the test questions. Well, why not teach your kids how to use ChatGPT to learn, to ask the right questions, and to really understand the information that's being given to them? So, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I don't think there's a solution to my unpopular opinion. I think that it's going to be each woman individually liking the video, first of all, everybody. And then second, figuring out what am I going to do within my family and the people that I either have control over, like my kids, or, in my household, in order to make it. Because I don't think that Black America has the appetite for what really needs to be done. So,
but it starts with people like, and not trying to pin other Black folks against other Black folks. It's only going to be a small percentage of Black folks that's really going to really push a change. Let's just be honest.
mm-hmm.
The rest of us will still talk about if you're a high value man or woman. We just gonna be the rest of them, and it's only gonna be a few of us who's gonna be talking about the education system
mm-hmm.
and policies, talk about reparations, why there's bias in the housing market,
Mm-hmm.
Why that we should demand government contracts to more African Americans. It's only going to be a few of us. The rest is going to be talking about this mythical, again, 200,000 six-figure man and woman that doesn't exist in our community.
Mm-hmm. With six-pack abs, and he looks like Morris Chestnut. Yes,
exactly. And all the women is a size 8, and then if you don't like it here, go and get a passport, and you be wealthy in Philippines. You ain't gonna save those people.
And I'm beyond saving those people. I really am. And part of me, and this is another unpopular opinion, is I'm even with people who are like, hey, Black community, get together and do this and do that. Like, I had my time with doing that. And now I'm like, you know what? I just want to talk to the people who want to level up. And that's it. I don't think the Black community is so bad that it should be burned to the ground. Like, I'm not there like some people are, but I do think that people who gravitate to, the financial channels, the business channels, the tech channels, things like that, you're going to make it. And people who don't. And I don't see. So when we look at, again, what happened with slavery and then what happened with Jim Crow, at least the majority of Black people were on board for that change. Affirmative action. The majority of Black people were on for that change. God bless. I don't see a system or a process where the majority of Black people are not actively for something, actively engaged in it, where that policy actually changes, even reparations. I don't see it.
But Sheree, let me give you an example, and I hate to even give an example, even the dark side. Osama bin Laden, terrible guy, awful human being. This man was so determined. This pastor gave a comparison of how when people are determined to do good do bad versus people who are determined to do evil. Okay. Osama bin Laden got up every morning in his country and actually planted this horrible act in the dirt. This guy got up every morning and did this for months. And unfortunately was able to do this terrible act. And he was able to mobilize not 1,000 people, but a few people to implement his act. So to me, if someone, and I'm just going by my faith, everybody's faith is that I'm a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
If you're evil enough to mobilize to do that, I think you can have extra strength to mobilize to do good. Sometimes it does not take thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
It takes one person who wants to do good and mobilize others on the same path. I just believe that.
Okay. So I definitely understand what you're saying. There was a study that I read, somebody introduced me 2 years ago that said that uh, if like any kind of major social changes you see in a country, it takes 3.5% of people to be on board with that change for you to begin to see a tsunami. I guess I could also relate it to the overturning of Roe v. Wade because the majority of America was not for that. Yet you had your strong contingency
Mm-hmm.
of um, evangelicals who pushed it through.
Mm-hmm.
So you're starting to change my mind with regards to this. So,
oh my gosh, I need to write this down.
you can look. This recording will stay
It
up,
would
so you can
never
definitely
happen
grab
again.
it. I am partially still burn the cape, but I want to see. There are certain things that I will get behind, and certain things that I won't. There are certain
Yeah.
things that I
Yeah.
would march for, or more importantly, like I instead of marching, just personally, I would rather us target some politicians and invest in their campaign and get it done that way. I think that we need to look a lot more at how other think tanks and how other groups get things done. But Toll Beans is saying here, I enjoy studying the brain chemistry, and why groups collectively react differently. Black Americans keep marching, whereas another group will do X, Y, Z. Yeah, I think it's also a decision of like for each individual woman who is on here, and man, if any men are listening, um, what is it that they think would have a generational impact, a multiplicative impact, and be able to say, okay, either you're going to be the person who leads it, or if you find a strong enough person who's leading it, that you would get behind it. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, my initial opinion was, I felt was pretty unpopular. And yeah, so. D'Ambrosio is saying one more thing here. They're not going to do anything. It's time to move on, get this money, and become the best version of ourselves inside and out. Look, 90% of what I'm doing is focusing on myself, but 10% is being a part of this channel here. I finally got my BW Making Money Gmail up and running, so you ladies will be able to send me financial questions and TikToks and things that you're finding that you want me to comment on. But like, this is how I'm looking at making a difference, and I would love to see us look closer at affordable housing, illiteracy. Some of our schools are physically dilapidated. They don't have heat in the summer. They don't have heat in the winter and air in the summer. They don't have plumbing. They don't have clean water. So I don't know. I just want to see us do better. Well, is there anything else you want to say? I'm just kind of looking at what everyone is saying. Is there anything else you want to say, God bless, before we head out today?
No, but good topic. This is what we kind of need. Mm-hmm. So, and it's really have diverse opinions and ideas, but I think that's what we need. I'm just so happy when we're not talking about relationships. Thank you.
You're welcome. Even though I do talk about it every once in a while, because, and I've said this before, I expressed that the biggest financial decision you will make is who the father of your children will be. And I have quite a few young ladies ages 20 to 29 watching this channel. And I would imagine that some of them want to be wives and mothers one day, and that is an economic decision. But no, that'll be like 10 to 15% of the content, and everything else is about making money or different things that we're able to do in order to become upwardly mobile. So this is a good question for you. God bless. Is it acceptable to understand that many are not going to make it? Tobeans is putting some controversial stuff in here as well. Go ahead.
Yes, Tone Beans. I listen. Some people are going to be left behind. They're gonna say that you are fake woke. I've been called fake woke because I believe in the concept of keeping collectively money in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So anyone out there, continue. If you're doing work behind your belief system, and you don't have to donate thousands of dollars to a school if you don't have it. But if you're volunteering and you're doing some stuff in your community and you label as fake woke, stay fake woke, because you really do change the minds of others. It starts with, it could be one person. That one person can get married and raise their children the same thought process of how to collectively put things in our community. Mm-hmm. How to, I'm gonna tell you how so shocking this is. I have a colleague, and he wasn't really into issues as affecting the Black community. He was, I call vanilla, politely called vanilla. He just want to live a life vanilla. And he started his business, getting off the ground. And he told me, he said, I felt really good. I hired three employees. I said, great. And he said, you know what? They're really good. I said, great. And he said, they're Black. I'm helping the community. But he never thought like that before.
Mm-hmm.
He never thought like that before. And this brother was vanilla. Mm-hmm. He was like, he was golden.
But that was how he felt he could contribute, which actually is a great contribution, because that's 3 families that he's helping.
Exactly.
Yeah. But Asia, welcome.
Hi, Cherie.
Hi. Now I see, before I answer your question, because I saw it come up here, I do want to respond to Tobeans as well, and you can respond, Asia. Sure. I do think we all understand that a lot of people aren't going to make it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they will be unalived. They just will be in the permanent underclass. And guess what? White America understands that as well. Immigrants understand that as well. Yes. In fact, as you can see here, I'm true chocolate, whatever. When I walk into a room, people automatically make assumptions about me until I open my mouth and I start conversing with them. And they were like, oh, yeah, that's going to happen. So yeah, a lot of Black people are going to be permanent underclass. And that is the version of not making it. Permanent underclass, whether they are living on the streets because, affordable housing, I'm getting varying reports of whether it's really going to be dealt with or not, or in prisons, or in the military industrial complex, which doesn't need as many physical soldiers as it used to. A lot of what's happening in the military are now being handled with drones and with cybersecurity. And if you are illiterate and you can't do cybersecurity, then what are you going to do? So, Asia, did you want to answer this question, or you wanted to say something else?
Well, I guess I can answer it. I do understand there's definitely not going to be many, unfortunately, just because I don't know what it is, but for some reason, Black women have this thing about their sons.
Which is understandable. If I had a son, I probably would be the same way. Like, this is my child. I birthed this child.
No, and I understand, but it's just the staunch difference with the daughters, though. And I think,
Yeah.
to be honest, that mentality has contributed a lot to the dysfunction of today, because I see way too many Black women competing with each other as opposed to working with each other. And I think a lot of the reasons why a lot of Black women will usually be in spaces that aren't the best for us is, I think, because a lot of us in many ways feel like we don't deserve the best, or many of us feel like, I don't know. I think it's also an insecurity as well. Like, if, like, say, like for you, for instance, they may feel intimidated because they feel like you're on such a higher level, but you know, they'll avoid it just because it's an avoidance of reality. I feel like it's a large portion of avoidance of reality. There's a lot that I think Black women can't take mentally as far as what we're really dealing with. And so I think a lot of us will usually put the blame on each other because we're so used to being the backbone.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, just take the brunt, just take it, because we've been doing it for so long. But no, we're not men. And I don't know, and this may be insensitive to those who about, you know, equality. Yes, women and men are equal in value, but we are not equal.
I agree with that. I think that men and women innately serve different functions, you know, within the world as well as within family structure. And that doesn't necessarily, this is why I get frustrated with men who are just like, you know, your job is just to cook and clean as a woman. Like, no, you know, we bring more to the world than cooking and cleaning. But we do have value that they just innately don't have either. There are natural things that we do around nurturing and caretaking and turning houses into homes that, you know, they don't do. And they build skyscrapers, which typically we don't do. And the truth is, we need each other. We need each other. So you did ask me if I believed in legislation for the protection of Black women and girls. 1,000%. 1,000%. In fact, I think it was the crime bill in 94 was when there was increased legislation about DVing women, period. So I think when it comes to the protection of Black women and girls, I think that, how do I say this? I think I would need to do more research about like how other groups of women need to be protected as well. Because I wonder if that legislation just needs to come under the protection of women and girls, making sure that our needs and our special circumstances are included in there. There was an Asian woman I was listening to, and she was saying that in her culture, they have a saying that you need to wipe the tears from your eyes and the blood from your nose. And the more I started listening to other women of other cultures, when you really start talking with them, what we struggle from outside of the Black femicide is a lot of it is the same. So, but I haven't delved down into that enough, except for just speaking with various women from different circumstances. There was another woman I spoke with. This is just, I haven't shared this story before online, but this is a good one. And we worked in the same shared office space. I was an entrepreneur. She was an entrepreneur. And her husband, every day, she was from India. And her husband was from India. And every day, I would pass by her office and she would be busy working. And he would have his feet up on the desk reading a newspaper, like just chilling. And after about 2 years, she opened up enough to me and said, that lazy effer, he doesn't do anything. I do everything. And I swear, if I had closed my eyes, I would have been talking to a Black woman. We think that women from other nationalities have it better. I'm here to say to you that I've spoken with some of these women behind the scenes. They don't open up unless they know you, but behind the scenes, they are struggling with some of the same issues we have.
Oh,
So,
that's the thing, because I would never think that, because
mhm,
a lot of, because I hate to say it, a lot of them will usually tend to contribute and jump in with these men against us.
mhm,
So I'm not going to validate your personal experience, but what I
mhm,
see, just online, and what I, the stories that I hear regularly, that's usually the case as far as them dealing with other groups of women. But at the same time, I feel like it should be more specific for us, because misogynoir is something that's very specific towards us.
mhm,
And I feel like things that would normally get, things that usually when the subject of women are being talked about in certain areas, we know that it's a lot more respectful than others. And with
mhm,
us, it's the least respected because of our blackness.
mhm. Our
So
blackness and our womanness.
yeah,
Yeah, that is when intersectionality does come in. And so I will say that above a certain age group, I don't see as many women of other cultures coming against Black women. I see them neutral, but I don't see them coming for Black women. Below a certain age range, I would say below 30, you are starting to see, well, I'm starting to see certain women propped up to come against Black women. And I do think that as more younger people are seeing that on, YouTube and Clubhouse and Instagram and places like that, that does seep you know, into everyday life. So yeah, I can definitely understand that. Um, Toe Beans is saying, I believe Black women and girls should be a protected group. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. There is the anti-Asian hate bill. Even though from everything I read, you know, um, the government is saying it's not anti-Asian, but that's what it seems to be called. Um,
yeah, they I think they, what was it, the Stop Asian Hate bill?
yeah, but yeah. So yeah, we should be a protected class as well, but that would require a certain amount of political pressure, and I just don't think we have the appetite for it.
Yeah, I think
I
a
don't think
few
we
of
have the
us
appetite
do.
for it.
It's just
Yeah,
not enough, not many numbers.
yeah, yeah. Well, did you have anything else before we go out and enjoy the rest of our Saturday?
Oh, no. I just wanted to catch the live for the first time, and just get my opinion in. And I'm also heavily supportive of your show. I would love to
Oh,
see more
thank you.
lives.
Thank you. You know what? Over the next, probably not until Aprilish, I'll do some weekday lives as well. But right now I'm just on the weekend. So yeah, but I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody who is here today. Definitely thumbs up the video, or you could thumbs it down. If you don't like my unpopular opinion, that's perfectly fine. But for topics like this, I'm an open kind of, open to feedback is what I will say. Thank you, saying you love my channel as well. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the conversation that we had today. Thank you, Computer and Coin. Definitely check out Computer and Coin's channel if you all want to get into tech. Especially if you want to get into healthcare tech, she's got some great things happening over there. I'm going to be back tomorrow night to talk with you ladies. This should be kind of a motivational show for Sunday evening. So I will see you ladies back tomorrow night. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Asia, for being here. Thank you. God bless. And I will see you ladies tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.